Perfect. Let's get started. We jumped in. Okay, this is the introduction slide. Let's stick to that. I am Rupika Kumar. Thanks for the introduction. And I head the design department for Studio 5B at Dr. Reddy's laboratory. And I'm here today to share a few thoughts on UX in healthcare space. I might disappoint you guys a little bit. There's not too much AI happening in this presentation, but we'll talk about something very important about experience design when it's applied to healthcare and well-being space. Before we jump into the topic, I would definitely want to talk about Studio 5B. Studio 5B is a design and innovation department within Dr. Reddy's. The organization is highly committed to deliver beyond the pill services and solution to its patients and end users, and 5B plays a very vital role in achieving that. At 5B, we have 3 core practices. I'm not going to get into details, we all know. Design research, design strategy, and experience design. There's a little picture of Tarun Rawat, who's our studio head, with a very smart research team. And at the center of all our endeavors, everything that we do is to deliver patient-centric innovation. Pushkar introduced me, but I'll talk a little bit about myself. I'm an NID graduate in product design, and before moving to Dr. Reddy's 5 years ago, I was working in the consumer durable space. For 12 years, I was designing appliances for LG, Toshiba, Whirlpool. I had a lot of fun doing that, but at a point, I felt a little saturated. And I decided to move towards healthcare space. Why healthcare? Healthcare is ever evolving, so dynamic, especially after the pandemic, that it provides ample opportunities to innovate. Not only that, it gives a very gratifying experiences to designers and creators because every day you're striving to make some difference, some impact in the lives of the patients. When I sat to put this presentation together, I could see it very clearly. It became very evident how my content that I want to share with you guys today and the theme of the event versus are beautiful aligned and comes together very naturally. In my past life, as I like to call it, when I was designing appliances, design was used to deliver disruption. Now, mind you, disruption is not to be understood in any negative manner here. By disruption, I mean creating surprise or generating excitement. But when I moved to healthcare, I had to quickly understand that design needs to do something very different here. Hence the title of my presentation, From Disruption to Continuity. I'm going to share some experiences, some learnings that I've had with all of you guys today. And without delaying any further, let's jump into, I've curated these experiences in form of some principles, which I'll share with all of you, and just not going to throw away jargon and principle. I'll also substantiate them with real-life examples from the projects that we undertake at 5B. So again, not causing any further delay, let's jump into principle number 1, designing for continuation of care. Unlike other industries, where use cases are often very singular and focused, for instance, you want to book a cab or you want to order a meal, in healthcare story becomes slightly different. Your users are constantly changing. Doctors come into picture. Patients and their caregivers are, of course, there at the center of it all. Insurance providers come in. Other team of healthcare providers, nurses, etc. come in. The disease is progressing. The treatment regimes are changing. The patients themselves are undergoing massive physical and mental changes throughout. So how does one design for such ever-changing, ever-evolving context? A tool that is sacrosanct to all our design processes, which we ensure we follow in every single design project we do at 5B, is mapping the patient journey. In front of you is a very detailed, very complex, very intricate cardiovascular disease journey. Now, how do we map this journey? On one axis, we will map the various events, milestones, stages of the disease. Currently on the journey, we have starting from pre-diagnosis to treatment, then management, care, etc. On the other axis, we map the various responses, behavior patterns, triggers, enablers, barriers that are experienced by the user set. And at the intersection of it, we strive to uncover opportunity. To give you an example, this is a zoomed-in view of the diagnosis and pre-diagnosis phase of the CVD journey. What did we find out? We found out that the patients or even their family members around them, it's very difficult for them to predict a cardiovascular episode, or let's call it heart attack, which results in patients being very oblivious, not taking any action, further increasing the risk of a heart attack. What opportunity emerged from these insights? Is there a way we can nudge them to first get them to be more aware of their condition and then to coax them to take timely action? This resulted in conceptualization of PredictPal. This concept is still in the works, so I'm just sharing a very zoomed out value proposition with you guys. High-risk patients are identified by the doctors and are onboarded onto this service. Data is then captured actively and passively from various sources. These sources could be health apps in your phones or any wearables that the patients might be wearing, some diagnostic lab reports or prescriptions that have been generated in recent past and present. This data is then collected to create a heart health score for the patient. This heart health score is then used to create a personalized action plan for the patient. Now, this action plan could be medicinal or lifestyle in nature. With lifestyle, I mean diet and nutrition intervention or exercise, fitness intervention, yoga, meditation, etc. And if unfortunately the patient does progress into the disease, then other supportive treatment, management, and care services, for instance, access to a specialist, hospital, emergency, etc., can also be rolled out through this service. By this example, I wanted to show the power of mapping a patient journey and how, by doing that, we decoded so many contexts to which this product needs to respond to based on the changing needs of the patients. Moving on to principle number 2. By far, I believe this is the most important principle ever. Designed to empower for the patient and caregiver. Imagine a patient undergoing cancer treatment. Imagine the lives of the people surrounding them, their family, friends, caregivers. There's so much ambiguity. There's so much fear of the unknown. There's so much anxiety. There's so much that is out of their control. Can we do something to bring a little bit of this control back into the hands of the patients and the caregivers? Allevius is a disease management service that was launched in South America, Brazil and Colombia to be very precise. Patients undergoing chemotherapy would be onboarded onto this service by the hospital or the institution. First, when we conceptualized Allevius, we were looking at very operational features. Can the patients book an appointment with the doctor through the platform? Can they book a chemo session through the platform? Can we push reminders to them so that they take their medicines in timely manner? We were putting all their lab records, bills, documents, etc. in one place. But when we went and met the patients and their families on the ground, we figured out that the intervention that they're seeking is above and beyond medical. What they need is a solid lifestyle response. Hence, we revised the feature list to add features such as beauty and vanity. Beauty and vanity would provide tips and tricks to patients, how they could style their hair, how could they do makeup, because post-chemo sessions, the hair tends to get sparse. Can we roll out some recipe ideas to ensure that the food they're eating is delicious and nutritious so that they feel that they're enjoying their day-to-day? Can we help them get access to financial aid in their area? Also, a lot of countries in South America have special laws for patients undergoing cancer treatment, but they have nowhere to go to find about these laws. Can we connect them to the right legal assistance and expose them to their rights and policies through this platform? We didn't stop at just curating a feature list for them. We ensured that the visual experience is also equally enabling and powerful. Right from the name of the service, to the visual identity that we created, to the tone of voice of the content that was pushed on to the app, choice of colors, choice of illustration styles, everything was curated in the same spirit. The same visual language was also adapted to other touch points, be it communication collaterals, merchandise, websites, etc. The teams were a little apprehensive about this app not looking very medical in nature. But we believed that the spirit of the idea needs to be wholeheartedly applied across the touch points to make the desired impact. Moving on to principle number 3. We've been taught design to delight, correct? But in healthcare, we should also design for giving comfort and to design to help the users take the correct action. Swirls is a mouthwash product which helps provide relief to patients suffering from oral mucositis. Oral mucositis could be a side effect from patients undergoing chemotherapy. It manifests itself as painful ulcers in the mouth. The marketing team approached us to support them to create a sort of a communication and awareness campaign around the disease, the treatment, etc. And we were mandated to depict the disease in a very graphic and photorealistic way. But when we spoke to the various patients, their family members again, we figured that they're already suffering so much pain, there's so much burning sensation in the mouth. Would it be appropriate to have them relive the same experience when they're interacting with our platform? Hence, again, we curated a visual language that was to induce a sense of relief, calm, and coolness once they're looking at, be it our website, be it our other in-clinic communication, be it our sample boxes, packaging, everything. So choosing these aqua, fresh colors, the shapes, which are again very fluid in nature. The imagery here was used not to represent the condition as it is, but the effect that the patients might be facing, so they connect with it better. The style of illustrations, the messaging was also very direct, very fuss-free, extremely factual. We also very strategically kept ourselves away from using fancy micro-animations, hectic transitions, interactions, because when you're designing for urgency, going clean, going clutter-free, being extremely straightforward and to the point is the way to go. Now coming to the last principle, which is principle number 4 that I'll share with you guys today. And I will also say that this principle is not just reserved for healthcare space. It can be applied to any context where a behavior change needs to be inspired or a regime needs to be ritualized. I'll read it out for you guys. Designed to integrate practices into daily rituals. Mintop is a hair regrowth serum. A lot of patient dropouts were being observed. It is a product with high efficacy, but if it's not applied the way the dermat prescribes, you will not see the best results. The marketing team again approached us, and they wanted our support to build some sort of an engagement tool which will ensure adherence. We articulated again, very clearly for the marketing team, that the way to drive adherence is to normalize a practice, then ensure that it's embedded in the daily lives of the user, That will generate habit formation, which is key to drive adherence. A blueprint of the service we chose to call Mintop Daily. Why the name Mintop Daily? Because we wanted to make everyday experience of applying Mintop easy, fuss-free, delightful. But I will not go to other activation. There were a lot of other activation ideas part of the service blueprint. I'll just concentrate on normalizing the regime and integrating it in daily life because it responds to the principle that I'm sharing. The patients would be onboarded onto this WhatsApp-based chat service, either by the dermatologist or a QR code would also be present on the pack, which you could scan and enter the service. Hair coaches will reach out to these patients and try to decode their lifestyles, and then advise them, motivate them, guide them to use Mintop based on their lifestyle personas. For instance, if the user is a fitness enthusiast, then how can they style and still hit the gym and do their workout? This is a serum, so it is slightly of a sticky nature, it could drip, etc. But there's a way to apply it correctly. If the user is a corporate 9-to-5 office goer, how can they put Mintop in their morning, sort of when they're dressing up and style their hair and go to office? This is also an AM/PM application. So how can we curate nighttime rituals for all the users for a fuss-free Mintop application? We also wanted to ensure that the user get very holistic brand experience. So the visual language that was decoded for the digital touchpoint was also then extended to the various pack designs. The service was launched in Feb this year, and we saw a lot of traction. And now the service is also being used to roll out FAQs, mythbusters around hair regrowth, even reaching out to dermats, pushing out merchandise, etc. So that's how the service itself scaled up as well. The idea that I want to convey here is that we weaponized personalization to cause that behavior change, which became then the key to adherence. And this is a classic example of that. So these were the 4 principles that I spoke about, tried to show some examples, and tried to convince you this is the way to go when you're designing for healthcare. No, it's not. I'm sure there's a lot more. And this is what I have learned. It's my point of view. And I really wish that one day, when you design for healthcare, you'll remember these, you'll have all of this in your mind. But if I were to pick one thought that I would want you to carry with you from this particular session is that when you're designing for healthcare and well-being space, design processes will be reinvented. But at the core of all your endeavors, all your efforts, need to lie empathy. Empathy for the patients, empathy for their caregivers, and empathy for their families, their friends, who are also in this journey of treatment with them. I always like to end my sessions with our organization's very strong brand purpose statement. We must make meaningful impact in the lives of our patients because good health can't wait. Thank you so much.